This is a test of the boundary part alert system. Hello. Welcome to the Lads in Football Phone In with me and him.
Hello.
We're both wearing green today because this is the colour that we looked yesterday.
Yeah, definitely after our bank holiday double ender at header.
In York.
Yeah, it was hard work yesterday. I was knackered.
I went to a festival on Saturday, which is unusual. I've not been to one since last summer, like for one day. So couldn't make the pod. No fit state whatsoever to do the pod on Sunday, and then straight back out to York on Monday.
I did text you on the Sunday saying, "Are you all right?" And I didn't get a response till 8:30 at night.
I wasn't all right.
No.
It was good though.
Friday was all right though, wasn't it?
What happened on Friday?
All the shots.
Oh, yeah.
A stunning win by Latics. Showed them what we were worth, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure about that, Dave, but we won the game, didn't we?
We were very lucky, weren't we? It was hanging on by the skin of our teeth towards the end. I thought we did play well, but there's a few questions, isn't there, over...
I thought that who was it? Aldershot. Friday was a bit boozy as well. They weren't great, though, were they? I thought it should have been a bit easier to score than it was. I mean, we thought we did well. We pressed them in eventually and pushed them and harassed and kept going. Got a goal right at the end, but...
What a ball from the force to be reckoned with as well.
Cooper.
Super
coming into his own. What?
Absolutely.
The new Richie Wellens.
Yeah, I think he's not at that level, but I think he's... It was a great ball and it was a good goal. And
it was a very good goal.
Hallam Hope on the score sheet, both sides of the double header. So yeah,
he scored again, didn't he? Was it Roberts who crossed?
Yeah, it was a good goal.
I missed the goal again.
I've seen it. On the highlights.
Yeah, tapping really, wasn't it?
But hey, you got to finish him.
Good weekend though. We've got a queue tonight.
Yeah, indeed.
But we do have a very special guest to warm us up with. Man of the moment on Twitter. Outspoken, causing all kinds of problems for the foundation. We're having to have emergency meetings about his conduct and all this kind of stuff. Absolute welcome, the absolute disgrace that is Bradley Knowles. Hi, Bradley.
Hi, lads. Love the introduction. I wouldn't expect anything less. Chief piss boiler.
Absolute disgrace of a human being. What are you talking about? What are you talking? Shez out after 6 games, man.
Before I do start, I best make it clear because people don't seem to understand as well that all views are my own and not of the foundation. Right? And Matt is there, right? He's on the
Listen,
foundation.
you can say what you want for me, mate. We don't. I mean, unless we put it out as a joint statement. I mean, you're entitled to. You're not saying anything personal or offensive, or it's your opinion, and we can talk about it and we can agree or disagree. That's perfectly fine by me.
Exactly, Paul. And that's how it's always been. We've always had, like I said, we've got a bit off topic, but we've always had disagreements and little things going on in board, but we've always been stuck together. But yeah, to your point, he is a club legend. But I said it back in April when he took over that he isn't the man to take the International League. Have a look at his record at Chesterfield. He won. When his season, he had him third bottom, 6 wins, 9 draws, 14 losses. He's not completed a full season with a team since 2014-15. Look at his managerial record over the last couple of years. You wouldn't be trying to get him. His point per game last year was 0.95. What is it this year? 27 games, we've taken 28 points. It's not good enough. The tactics are one-dimensional. You try to fit people into a 3-5-2 formation, ends up having to change it. We've probably played well for about 10-15 minutes in each game. After it just takes a bollocking from him to get him going, and that's about it. And there's nothing else, is there? The subs have been questionable at times. I just feel like we just need someone young, somebody who can look to with different ideas.
Who would you have, Brad?
So I've been going through the list. So there's a few. Dave Artell is the guy I want. He would be my number one choice. He did well at Crewe, stabilised them, brought you through. Sold Perry NG, Charlie Kirk. You were left back, got them promoted. Got Crewe finished 12th in League One, the highest finished in 06-07. And unfortunately got relegated. I don't think there was any money to spend. There's also Jonathan Greening at Scarborough. Something which might need to look at doing is the lower leagues, someone like that, young, who's got good contacts in the game, just coming through. He'd be a good shout. Or even Williamson at Gateshead, who's got Gateshead promoted on a shoestring budget and did well. And they started a bit poor this season, but I think he'd do well for us.
I mean, it's all very well you coming in here with all these stats and stuff, but it's, it shares Athletics, and 6 games in, we've been dying for some kind of stability. We've been, you and I have been very, very critical of Abdallah and Mohammed and all this, and the sacking of managers and the turnover of managers. Is doing that now just starting us off on the wrong foot?
Well, you can say that. We've sacked too many managers. There's no doubt about it. But I think this is the one that is now, which you can think is needed. People say, "Oh, what happened if the new manager starts poor and stuff like that?" He needs new ideas. We need someone younger, someone hungry. If you look at Sheridan in his interviews, he looks always down and out. He keeps saying, "I don't know what to do with the players. Is it something to do in training?" Tommy Wright's there as first team coach. We don't have an assistant coach. It's all things. We just think there's just nothing there. There's no passion from him. He looks tired, and he looks like he just needs to have his. I'd like him to go out on his own way, and he knows when to go, I think. But I think he needs to look at retiring again, like he was going to do. I think he was before he was our manager. I love the guy. He's a legend. I'll never sing Sheridan out in the stands or anything like that. I will always get behind him. Even on like Monday, I was singing ASU Johnny Sheridan and stuff like that. But I just don't think he's the right man for us at the moment.
Dave, you look him in the eye every week or two. How do you judge his demeanour and his attitude and whatnot?
When I speak to him, and I was speaking to him towards the end of last season, before Barry Bandles, he was very resigned then. And to be honest with you, against Wealdstone, he just looked the same. And I think Andy alluded to it about the culture. I think he's finding it a lot tougher than he envisaged, like against Wealdstone. But he looked quite chirpy on against Aldershot, but it was no by me.
We won.
I know, but it
wasn't
a victory that was. It wasn't comprehensive, was it? It was very laboured, and I just think he struggles communicating what he wants, because even when he's trying to talk to us, he just says, "I just want 2-touch. I just want 2-touch." Now, if he's just saying that to the players, "I want 2-touch passing, play the simple ball," and you hear that all the time. And again, Tommy's saying the same thing, because he said, "I have to tattoo it on my head." Do you know what I mean? And it's like, maybe they need some new ideas when the 2-touch isn't working, because it's very, as you said, one-dimensional, doing the same thing over and over. And if it's not working, you saw Tolly how many times against Aldershot get to the edge of the area, take a touch, and then not even shoot. You know what I mean? It just seems very... like they run out of ideas in the final third, I think.
Yeah, we're just so frustrating. Like I said, we've not played well in one game this season yet. We've had spells, 10, 15 minutes. Like I said, York after our time, we did well, but the first half of York was abysmal. It was we didn't look. If you look in the highlights, we didn't even have a shot. We just a cross across the box. Hope took his goal well, and again on Friday it was a snatch and grab, weren't it? Really, we all thought it was going to be a 1-1 and a cracking ball from Cooper. But again, there was another poor team. We played some poor teams as well. We played 2 part-time teams. We should be beaten. Torquay not started the greatest. Southend, I always thought we wouldn't get anything from there. And York was.
Well, they hadn't won a game though, had they, until we turned up, Southend.
Exactly.
Well, I think, Brad, I think you meant there's definitely some really good points there, and but I think we have to look at that. We know, I mean, my office here is right near to Chapel Road, so I walk past when you're in training, and it is just Shez and Tommy Wright and the lads on the pitch. You could argue that if you bring a new manager in, is it still just going to be him and his assistant? Are they going to be bringing more staff in? Does he just need more support, more staff, more people taking more responsibility for training and bringing in new ideas that he can work with? Would that be helpful rather than sacking the manager? Or should that be given a try? Because at the minute we are working on an absolute skeleton staff. And so should we be looking to the owners and the board to bring in more support for Shez? Does he need more signings? What's the story with his budget? Who can I think these are important questions that we need to ask. Really, 100%. I'll get from the club before we start saying Shez needs to go, because I think we do need to maintain some of that stability, and we need to look at, if Shez is a club legend, what does he need from us? You know what I mean? Before and from the club before, to give him a fair crack at the whip, because he came in last season and made a big difference to the whole attitude around the club, the whole belief in the club. But he couldn't do anything with the players that he'd got, with the squad that we'd got. No one blames him for getting us relegated. But I think from himself, from his own professionalism, he sees feels like he's taking some responsibility, and he wants to try and put that right, wants to try and correct that. So for me, I'd try and give him support first before replacing him.
Do you think he's signed the right players for this league?
We don't know what formation. We're playing all over the place. Like I say, Holt's been playing right wing. I don't think he's played right wing. His career's always been left wing or a striker. We've tried 3-5-2, 4-2-3-1. We haven't, and I don't think we played that in any of the pre-season games. We were always 4-4-2. Yeah. I read an article on the Derby Times for when he got sacked from Chesterfield. He said that he had a storming end to the season, kept him up in 2018-19. And then he kept a lot of players on, and he tried fitting them into the 3-5-2, but the players he brought in couldn't play the formation, and he just ended up capitulating, and that's why he got the sack there. It seems the writing is on the wall. How the players he signed there when Chesterfield got relegated, they were in the bottom four. It's the same like your old League 2 players, League 1 players who are a bit past it. And he tried fitting in a 3-5-2. The signs have been all wrong. I still think we're struggling. We're body short in midfield. Centre mid's a massive problem. We've got no pace in the team. Fondop's completely isolated. We're just lumping it forward to him, hoping that he wins a flick on. To be fair, first half he was again hopeless. Second half he won a few headers and he held the ball up to get out to is it called Mitch, the new lad, Mitch Roberts, and he got the ball in. But it's just the same. If you're playing Fondop, we need to be playing someone with pace off him. We've not got that. I said it.
Well, we do. We have Luamba, don't we? Luamba's got bucketfuls of pace, but he don't play him, will he? He won't play 4-4-2, will he?
It's 3 minutes here and there. And like I said, if you've got a big fella like Fondop in, you need someone to be putting the balls in the box. We haven't got anyone to put a ball in the box. If you have a look at some of the players, which I said we need to be looking at, the conference players and the National League North. There's 3 players which are 3 or 4 players which go straight for that. Colchester at Altrincham, you've got most chances created. We've got Conor Hall at Chorley, who's a striker, 24-year-old, who's young and fast, and he's Archer as well at Southport, along with that Norton at Fowl. These are the type of players which we need to bring in, which all the clubs do at this level. So what they tend to do, they buy the better players from the bottom half of the table and National League North and South, and that's how they build a team, not from like League 2, League 1. Look at Chesterfield, they signed Shamanga from Boreham Wood a season and a half ago. He's looking at might be going for $1 million now. This is what teams do, and that's how they build.
But I mean, the thing there is buying them. I mean, like we don't know what his budget is. I mean, obviously we get on the podcast. Hopefully, Darren and some of the board, and we'll have to talk about that because it's about this expectation, isn't it? Of can we go up this season? Can we give the manager the budget and the resources to get up there? Because you have to go and buy in contract players during the season. When clubs don't want to sell them, they're going to look at Oldham and they're going to say, well, if you want to buy them, it's going to cost you this much. And they be saying the same with Wrexham, but Wrexham can do it because they can afford it. But
there's ways around it. I think speak to people who are in the game. You get players in for a 5-figure sum, not a big one. So lower end, you talk 10 to 20 grand, but you put a good sell-on clause on there, you 20 to 30% to offset that. Once you offset that that's when the clubs in the future, if they do well, that's when they make the money, because they only signed for like 1 year contract, so they're expecting to lose them anyway. To make a small 5-figure profit and then the potential of a selling cost, that's how they do the business in the National League North and South. Just going back to obviously staff there, when Sheridan was here last before he got sacked for the Rotherham, he brought in Richie Wellens as a player coach. We need somebody young with fresh ideas, because like I said, what we're made is that it's just a lot of 5-side games and stuff like that. We need somebody with some fresh new ideas alongside. If we have to keep Sheridan, we need someone young, fresh ideas who's been going to all different. I know it's cliche, but like going to different management courses, doing all the badges there. Because they're young and keen, they want to show themselves, and maybe they look at Sheridan. Then if we are going to consolidate, they might look to take over the reins.
Yeah, I think that needs. I think that's something that needs to, be considered and discussed at the club. And I know that they are. I know that they are looking at it. We know from our own exchanges with Darren Royal, Brad, that how under-resourced the football club is at the minute, and how much money. It's almost limitless, the amount of money that they could throw at the club in order just to bring it up to standard without even spending any money on any players. So there is a lot of catching up to do. We do have somebody from Chesterfield, Dave Garrett, who's waiting patiently in the wings, and we will bring him in a little while, and he can tell us about Chesterfield's experiences with John Sheridan, and up and down in the divisions, and how to they've reset, they've done everything that we are sort of in the process of doing, and tell us probably about how Chesterfield are now set up. But we are a long way behind, aren't we? And I think to try and we'll bring Paddy in, because he'll about have an opinion on this, because he obviously thinks we should be top of the league and have won every single game. All right, Paddy, but we can't do everything, can we, Paddy? In how many weeks? It's not even 2 months since they've been in. We can't. Not everything can be fixed. The bars, the facilities.
I don't want to do everything. I just want to win some football matches, Matt.
Right. So, I know that. Yeah, but I'm just saying, where does the club put its priorities, and how do we?
On the football pitch.
Right. They would disagree. They'd agree that they need to put their money into the infrastructure to make the club sustainable in future.
Which is fair enough then, but
which feeds the football side of things.
7,000 fans that have turned up to watch them will soon dwindle away if the team on the football pitch aren't winning games.
I have to agree with that.
Oh, I might be wrong then, actually.
No, all right, thanks a lot. Right, bye, Paddy. No, I have to agree with that. I think all the corporates sold out. They've got mascots sold out. I get that they might need an odd bar, but I think to get fans in and retain the fan base, we're getting 6,500 per game. I think they really need to look at that and get some.
But what that says to me is, it says your fans are incredibly fickle, which football fans are.
Yeah.
If we're only prepared to come back and back the new owners and the club for one season before we all start getting really pissed off and not.
I'm not saying.
I know, but that's what Paddy said. He said if we don't have a good season, then we'll lose that support, and we might lose. Maybe we will, but I mean, you have to be able to, as a fan base, look yourself in the eye and say, how long are we prepared to give this before we start dwindling away?
No, I think,
but it happened last season as well. The crowd we got against Rochdale when Sheridan came back and everyone was back to support them. There was nothing like that figure when we played Crawley. Was it Crawley last game of the season? Sutton on the Tuesday night when we were losing games. The numbers dwindle away. And that's the same at every football club in the country.
I think it was a bit different then, Paddy. I think it was a bit different then, because everybody that supports Oldham Athletic, apart from Dave, had figured out that we were going to get relegated, and they didn't want to put money in Abdallah's pocket. But I think circumstances have changed, haven't they, since then?
It's going to get very interesting, I think. Because obviously, Chesterfield, I think there is potential that we are probably going to get close to 8,000 to 9,000 on Saturday. They sold 800 tickets, and I think we'll probably.
Bit simple, that, isn't it? Really, Brad.
Well,
just saying that for Dave, because I know he can hear.
Yeah, well, true. I think they are restricted on what they can sell, though. So keep an eye on that one. But again, Wrexham probably will be the biggest. Another one where we're probably going to get about 8,000 to 9,000. After that, if we are bottom half at table relegations on, then crowds will be back down to the hardcore 3,700, 4,000. To sustain these crowds to 6,000, 7,000, they will not have expected us on them Tuesday night game against Wealdstone and Aldershot to be getting them sort of crowds. That money which has been made there, they can easily put into a player for a season. 100%.
We're not going to go down towards the relegation zone, though, are we? When there's the worst teams in this division.
We've already started.
Said it
Injuries
before.
have already set in. We've already got Hogan out 3 months. Sutton's out. We're already down to McGahey and Sherman at the back. Porter's injured. You don't know what's going on with him.
We've still got
Garner's
playing.
Exactly. We've got Garner's a walking red card. He's our best player, but he's got a everywhere, so he's always looking for a booking. These are things that are already starting to set in. The alarm bells are ringing. I can see where this is heading. It's 100% where this is heading.
Right. Okay. But this is. I mean, is this because of the way the club is currently being managed, or is this because of the legacy of the last however many years?
It includes both. Obviously, we've got some players who we signed from last season who Sheridan has kept on. They're not good enough. The last season, the budget was. They always said it was a bottom half National League budget. That is where we are at the moment. We're bottom half National League, and we, like I said, we will. It will be a reality check come October, I think.
Answer me this, guys. If we get beat 4-5-0 on Saturday by Chesterfield, has he got to go?
Yeah, he's got to go. Paddy's laughing there, but I think he's got to go.
Yeah, no, completely. I mean, for me, I don't think he should have been kept on after May, to be honest. But yeah, 100%. And people, I know Andy mentions it quite a bit, that Stockport had a bad start last season and they went up. But they went up because they sacked the manager, got somebody in who knew how to do well in this level, and obviously went like a train and steamrolled up.
We're about 3 players away from where we need to be. 3 or 4 players, solid signings, and that will get us into that top 7 easy. Like I said, I had a friend who was watched Chesterfield, Oldham on Monday, and he did the scout report on Shamanga for him. And he said that we'll get murdered off Chesterfield. The way we play, if Shamanga's still there because they're undecided due to his injury record, he'll murder McGahey for pace and power. He said that Mandeville will have Clark on toast. Banks will strut around the place. And even they have got injuries. They've got that Asante is injured as well, and Dobra. So that might be, but it all depends if Shamanga goes. But yeah, he said that we'll be looking at a pace number 3-4 now. That's a person who's a scout at a championship club. Obviously, it doesn't play on paper like that. It plays, anything can happen on the day, but people have looked at us and see, where our weaknesses are.
Well, let's. It seems like a good time to bring Dave in. Then he's been waiting patiently in the wings. Dave Garrett. All right, Dave.
Hello. Good evening.
How are you doing?
Introduce yourself, mate, in your podcast.
Yep. So I'm from Legends of the Spire podcast. So I started mine kind of early last year, and I speak to former Chesterfield players. So I think I've done nearly 60 now, former Chesterfield players. And interestingly, I've spoken to players that played under Sheridan the first time he was with us, and then the last time he was with us. So I had some interesting insights from those players.
So before you tell us about some of the Sheridan type stuff, based on what Brad was just saying, then are Chesterfield going to give us a good pasting on Saturday? Are you confident of that yourself, or do you think it'll be a tougher game?
I think it can go. I think it's one of those that can go either way. To be honest, we've had our home form's been very strong this season. We've won all of them. Away, we've had a 2-2 draw at Dorking, which, all right, our goalkeeper got sent off after half an hour and we didn't have another one on the bench. So we did quite well to get a 2-2 out of that. And then we had a 2-2 at Notts County, which we probably should have won, and then beat Altrincham. So away form's been good, but we've not been, wiping teams away or anything like that. So we'll go confident, but I think if we ended up with a point, I don't think fans would be that disappointed, really. But obviously we're going there hoping to win.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know what kind of. I suppose we've not really, like Brad was saying, we've not really pulled out a good 90 minutes yet, have we? So the expectation would be that you would dominate quite a lot of the game. I've only seen you play against Notts County because it was on BT. I definitely should have won that game. You were all over them, weren't you? And then they had 2 breaks and scored 2 quick goals and that was it. But I mean, I was impressed with how Chesterfield played in that game. I thought they looked good.
It's interesting. Is Paul Cook's playing slightly differently, I think, to how he has done before with us. He's kind of traditionally known as a 4-2-3-1 guy, but it's more of a 4-4-2/4-2-2-2 that everyone plays nowadays, and that you have these kind of wingers in a 4-4-2 that will play quite centrally behind your striker. So it's been a bit of a different way for Cook to play, but obviously it's been very high pressing and energetic, kind of possession based. So it's been very exciting to watch.
What's changed with Chesterfield? Because when Paul Cook came in, you were flying, and then you just sort of drifted off and curtailed at the end of the season. You just blamed it on the striker being injured, didn't he? Which was a bit of a cop out, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, really. So we had James Rowe in charge. Yeah. He shall not be named, and he played a very pragmatic kind of 3-5-2, 3-4-3 that was all about, long balls, and it was a bit more direct. When Paul Cook came in, he kind of, obviously it's tough for a manager when they come in and a team's near the top, because they usually come in when a team's struggling. And he came in wanting to play his kind of possession-based 4-2-3-1, and the players weren't up for playing it. So he tried to play the same formation as James Rowe with those players, but it's not really his thing. So it just didn't quite work in terms of what he was wanting. We were letting a lot of late goals, and we had so many injuries last year. We had, for most of the season, we had kind of 13 fit players and like the same amount of players on the treatment table. So it was one of those, the Shamanga injury just kind of put an end to everything. We all knew when he went down, that was it, season over, really. And we did well to get into the playoffs and had a late rally against Halifax, but ultimately, I don't think we were ready to go up. And this season, he's transformed it. Yeah.
I watched the Halifax game, and you were so poor in that game. I thought it wasn't the best. And when I watched Halifax, they weren't impressive either. And I thought, we're going down. We're gonna walk this league. But how wrong I was.
Horrid league. It's horrid.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot about John Sheridan then, and obviously you've had him at Chesterfield. Were you surprised when he came back into management at Oldham? What are your memories of the man?
Well, it's interesting. There's probably a lot of Chesterfield fans that have got quite a lot of animosity towards him, probably from his second spell. I've still got a bit of a soft spot for him, because the season when we first moved to our current stadium and he won the league with us, and it was really exciting. Craig Davis and Jack Lester knocking in loads of goals. It was fantastic. I spoke to a few of the players that were in that team, and they said that, he was very light on tactics. He was very light on training. It was just like, go out and play. And he wouldn't tell them anything about the opposition. He just built a good team of exceptional players and said, go out and play. And I've spoken to a few players who were then with John Sheridan the second time round, and they've said the same thing, that he was, don't worry about the opposition, just go out and play. And I've spoken to Jonathan Smith, who was a midfielder at the time, and he said, we'd go out and he'd say we'd not know who the danger men were, we'd not know what the strengths or weaknesses were, because he was like confident of like, no, just go out and play your game and do it. But of course now, even Dog and Duck, have got a data analyst that's doing things on the side of the pitch. So I think we probably found, he came in when we were right near the bottom of the league, and he actually kept us up. He kind of stopped us dropping in the National League North. And then the season after, it was horrendous. And it just felt like the players didn't quite know what they were up against. And like, as you're already finding out, you take any team lightly in this division and they pull you apart, and you're thinking, we'll go to Dover and win 6-0. And then they beat you 2-1, and you suddenly realise.
See the parallels.
I remember when we first came down, we got relegated. What's that, 5 years ago now? And a Tranmere fan came on our message board, and he said, this is how it will go. He said, you'll start the pre-season and you'll think this is going to be great fun. We're going to go to all these places we've never been to before. We'll roll them over 4 or 5-0. We'll win the league. Happy days. We'll go back up. And then he said, it'll get to like October, November time when you go to Maidstone away on a Tuesday night and they beat you 2-0 and you don't have a shot on target. And you'll think, this is horrendous. And I think it took us, we noticed that the first season we had Martin Allen that came in who just played long ball, and it was just horrendous. We got to that kind of 10 games in and you think, this league's horrendous. So yeah.
Martin Mad Dog Allen?
Yeah.
You had him as manager, flipping out.
Yeah, he was the guy that was going to take us back into the Football League. And we started off quite well and then drew, I think, 8-9 games in a row or something like that. And it was literally long ball. So we went through loads of different managers in those first few years, just trying to find someone that would work. And in the end, it was someone that had knowledge of the National League that eventually kind of got us on a bit of an even keel again.
We do have a data analyst, don't we? Someone came in relatively recently. I don't know what we've got in the way of like the first team coaching squad. Now, what have we got? A goal shares Tommy Wright. We've got an analyst. We've got a goalkeeping coach. Is that right? Have we got any more than that?
Yeah, league camps there. There's not really much else. Like I said, a friend of mine went watching the Halifax Southend game before we played him. I sent in the scout report and said, look, these are going to overrun the midfield. The number 10 and 11 are dangerous players, and look what happened. They overran the midfield and the number 10 scored. So did he take any notice from outside people? Not really.
What do you think, Paddy? Do you think that the way that Dave just summed it up is still the way that Sheridan does his, goes around his business and manages?
He said it himself. I don't know if it was you that interviewed him, Dave, after or it might have been before the Aldershot game, after we'd lost at Southend. And he said, I can show them videos on Aldershot for hours, but we need to play our own game. And he's probably, he just thinks that if we just go out and play, we don't need to worry about them. I went to an audience with Dean Windass about 10 years ago, and he said John Sheridan was the worst manager he'd ever played under. And that was when Sheridan was doing really well when he was with us. So, I mean, it sounds like what he was doing in 2008, he's still doing in 2022. But unfortunately, 14 years is a long, long time in football, and you can't stay still. I mean, he said it himself. I'm not speaking out of turn. He said himself on the Under the Kosh podcast, he is a football dinosaur.
Is it like the old Clough-esque?
Mm-hmm.
You play the game as you want to play it, pass it to someone creative, or they'll get it to a striker and they'll score. It seems.
But he had Peter Taylor as his coach, and that's the difference, isn't it? But that was the difference. Clough had a magnetism about him. Plus, it was the 70s, so it was different, wasn't it? But yeah, I think that's probably Chez's style. It's kind of like more hands off, more.
Ron Atkinson, same, playing 5-a-sides and then goes for a suntan. Do you know what I mean? That's he said he was his best manager, didn't he?
These are all the managers he's played them, and that's how he shaped his managerial career on these managers. And like Paddy just said, the game's moved on. Like I said, it's even moved on from 5 years ago. It's constantly changing. Like I said, someone young with new ideas is the person we need right now for this league.
I remember when Shez first started as manager at Latics, and I think he lost a couple of games, and the person he rang up for advice was Paul Jewell, and he just told him to play 4-4-2, and they ended up winning. So it's just pretty worrying, isn't it? You know what I mean? This is what we. I don't, that was years ago, but again, if he's not adopted or changed or moved on with the game, it is a concern, and I bet some fans, as much as a legend he is. They want to see a change, They want to build. They've got to carry on this momentum of a new ownership, haven't they? Because
if this was anybody else but John Sheridan, there'd be uproar.
I think you're right. You are right. Yeah.
There'll be uproar about what? About drawing 2 games, winning 2 games, and losing 2 games in our first.
It's not just that though. It's the way we've played. We've been dominated in. Well, I've been to 5 of the games. In 4 of the 5 games I've been to, we've been dominated. The only one that we weren't dominated in was against Aldershot.
The thing is that we play the same tactic. We're so predictable. Like I said, it's either get the ball to mid-gear or Sharon to lump it forward and hope Fondop wins a head-on. That's all we do every game. And I always think, when I came down to this league, I thought that's how these non-league club teams would play, and just plod it forward. That's all. But like I said, Dorking and Wilson, they were better than some football league teams where they just passed it about and just play with no fear. That's what teams do. They play no fear. It's mental, like how they play compared to how we've played.
Dave, talk to me about Mike Fondop. Come on.
I remember when he came in to us, and he had a good first handful of games and scored a few goals, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's quite a good Mike Fondop." And then he was horrendous after that, and he kind of just disappeared out of the team for spells. I don't know if he had a bit of a. I shouldn't be talking to people about people if they can't come back, but he seemed like he maybe had a bit of an attitude problem. I don't know.
He went to Aldershot and he wouldn't sign a new contract, would he, at the end of the season because he wanted to keep his options open? That's what I heard.
it was just a bit rubbish. But I mean, to be fair, it's a long line of bad players that we've had in the last 5 years. It's only now that it's turned around and we've actually got a team that are worth watching again.
One of the players that was got absolute dog abuse at Latics was Ollie Banks. He got so much stick. People saying now that he's, one of the best midfielders in the league. How do you find him? Has he impressed you?
He's been incredible. He was kind of with us in the time when we were getting near the League One playoffs and everything, and he was kind of a bit part player at the time because he'd come from non-league and come to Chesterfield, and he had Jimmy Ryan and Sam Morsey in midfield at the time, so he didn't get a look in. So he went away, but as he's come back, he's been brilliant because he just pings balls left to right, big diagonals. His pass accuracy has been like in the high 90% all season. Him and Darren Oldacre, who we signed from Dorking, are both just those two holding midfielders that just are great at intercepting balls and not having to tackle people, just being in the right place. And then their range of passing has just been excellent, which when you've got a couple of strikers up top and a couple of wingers all over the place, they just switch it left to right, up and down all the time. And he's scored a couple of good goals as well. So he's been excellent for us since he came in.
Well, we have a feature that I want to bring in a minute, but I need to link it. So I'm going to ask you, Dave, how your experience of refereeing in this division has been overall. Your wincing, for those people that will be listening to it as a podcast. How's it been this season? Let's just focus for the opening 6 games or whatever it is.
We've had a couple of stinkers, but it's not been as bad as it has been. Last season, we had a player that smashed his kneecap into pieces. Referee didn't even give a foul. We had another player who kind of was out for 3 or 4 months afterwards. Referee didn't give a foul. And then on the flip side, we had some red cards that weren't even a foul. You'll find you'll find a referee and you'll go, wow, this referee is the worst referee we've ever had. And then the next week, they will be worse. It will just, they're so inconsistent. It seems like you get those games where both sets of fans don't like them. So it's been horrendous. Yeah, the refereeing at this level is really poor.
Well, this might surprise you, Dave, because this man here, although he looks like a premium athlete, is actually a referee, which has inspired us to do this little feature that we've got here. Come on, ref!
Go away!
That's a shocking decision!
Calm down, play advancing.
Ref, the ref review.
Hi, I'm Dave Bradley, King of the Laws. I hope you all had a great bank holiday, but I tell you, you did have a great bank holiday. Matthew Dickio, who refereed the York City versus Oldham Athletic game. There wasn't really much to complain about, apart from him missing a clear penalty which could have been conceded by Jordan Clark on the York attacker. It's a yellow card from me. Well done, Matthew.
The ref review. So there you go. That was the best one of the season so far, wasn't it?
Well, no. The lad who did the Dorking game, he had the best one. Elliot. So yeah, it was a play on, son, was it? Yeah. So,
okay. That shows how memorable your ref reviews are, mate.
Well, where's your feature?
What? Yeah. Shut up. Anyway, let's bring Aaron in because he's been waiting very, very patiently. All right, mate.
Hello, fellas. You okay?
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What do you make of all this Sheridan out business?
I mean,
Aaron?
if I'm being honest, the style of play hasn't inspired me at all so far this season. But I do sort of agree that it is 6 games into the season. You know what I mean? That is very early. But I think what is worrying now, listening to all of this, is it might be 6 games into the season or 16 games into the season, but people that have played on seen Shez play in multiple teams are telling us that it doesn't really change, and that is worrying me a little bit because obviously I still think, like Brad said, I still think we're maybe 2 or 3 players away from having a solid enough team for this division. We desperately need somebody that can link the defence and midfield. Obviously earlier this week there was mad rumours going around about Alfie McCalmont, but I don't know what's happening with that. I don't know where that's going because I believe he played a game for Leeds' under-23s on Tuesday night. So I don't know what's happening with that. We definitely need another striking option, because I agree with what you guys said. I think for me sometimes Fondop comes out very lazy, and that's what really annoys me with him. But I think if you watch the second half, I think you mentioned it, Brad. If you watch the second half against York, he won every flick on, but there's nobody within like 5-10 yards of him to do anything with the flick ons he's winning. So like it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one. I do think it's very early, and I think you can look at it like glass half empty, glass half full type thing. Whereas we're only 2 points off the playoffs and 6 points off the top. So like, you know what I mean? It's one of them. I don't really know where to go with it at the minute.
We start looking around the football leagues now. The managers are starting to go, aren't they? They are starting to be binned off at various clubs, and you've got two camps, haven't you? I mean, you're looking at it from afar in most instances, and you're saying 6 games, it's too early. So I think it just depends on, like you were saying before, the perspective of whether you take it in isolation of the 6 games or you take it into sort of like the bigger picture. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not. My initial thoughts are that we need to give him some more support within the structure of the football club before anything else happens.
And for all that, you could say Sheridan needs to go. I also think, like, obviously we love Frank, and Frank is our saviour and whatever, but it's obvious to anyone that goes to Boundary Park or to the away games, we need like 3 more players. And if them 3 more players don't come, Shez can only work with what he's got. And what like Brad was saying, what he's got at the minute is National League players playing in the National League. So, like, you know, you can't really polish a turd, can you? You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, isn't it? So, like, it's a difficult one. Like I say, I think we need a midfielder, like a progressive midfielder, and a striker. Until we get them in, I can't see things changing much for the better, really. But obviously, I think it's mad to say that change for the better 6 games in, when our record is equal amongst the 3 categories. So yeah, it's a strange one. It really is a strange one, because the atmosphere is back at Latics now. So you kind of just want a squad to match that atmosphere. I understand, but obviously that's going to take time to mold and build in itself. So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Dave, when you had Sheridan as manager, did you find him a stubborn manager and very, as you like, one-dimensional? He could predict everything that he was going to do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Although it also got to the point sometimes where we would get the team sheet and you'd be like, where are they all playing? Because it all got a bit weird. But he always used to say after every match, he always used to say the players aren't listening. The players aren't listening to me, and that used to be his kind of excuse after every match. I think you should just go and get Luke Garrard from Boreham Wood. Go and get him as your manager. I think he's the guy that could get you back up there. It's great.
So I said Jonathan Green from Scarborough, who seems to be doing well for them. But like I said, again, it's just parallels. Look at how Chesterfield were and went in that second season, and everything which is said is what exactly is happening here. You can see it. The writing's on the wall. Even the consolidation lads, they're going to see it and they're going to think eventually it will come, and they'll go, Bradley, Paddy, you were right.
Well, this is what Adrian thinks, Mr. Hilton. He says, "Sorry, Brad, but what is happening on the pitch is of little importance at present. What is more important is the new custodian's relationship with the supporters." Do any of you agree with that statement?
Absolutely not. No, you've already got a good relationship with the supporters.
No, not really, because I feel like the good relationship. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone has a bad relationship with Frank at the minute anyway, and I don't think they should have. But the good relationship only will get stronger by good performances on the pitch. No, surely. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out how a football club needs to be run, and a football club runs around like positivity and done off good results. No,
I mean, I know Adrian, and he's a very nice fella, but I'm not sure I agree with that statement of what is happening on the pitch is of little importance at present. I
want Paddy to answer. Go on. Seems smart. You know?
Go on, go on. He was wincing as it was being read out. Go on, mate.
Well, it isn't though, is it? Because what happens on the pitch is of the most importance. The fans have already got a good relationship with the owner and Darren Royal. So that's fine. That doesn't need changing anyway. What needs to happen is they need to win on the pitch. That is what of massive importance. That's what we all pay our money every Saturday for.
I think someone here has come on and said, I presume they're talking to me because I'm called Matt and I'm on the phone in. Stop defending him. Presumably they mean Sheridan. Scunthorpe's at Keith Hill. New ownership needs new changes. I've not been defending anybody, but I've been trying to play, not devil's advocate, but kind of look at the different points of view. If we've got people on that are advocating for like Shez out, I'm saying, well, maybe there's other reasons that, I think that's absolutely fine. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not up to me to decide whether Sheridan stays or goes. There's a board of directors that need to make that decision. There's Sheridan himself needs to make that decision. If Sheridan needs more from the board, he needs to ask the board for more. If they won't give him more, he needs to make a decision whether he's going to stay or not. We can ask him these questions. One of the reasons why we've not had Darren Royal and the board on the podcast yet is because we need to get a bit of meat into the season before we can start asking them questions. Otherwise, they come on at the beginning, they're doing all the same interviews with everybody else, answering the same questions, and we're not getting anywhere. We want to get them in when we've got 10 games gone or whatever, and we can say, right, okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Sheridan, presumably, provided he's still here in 10 games' time, obviously based on what you lot have been saying, if you had your aid be gone. We need a performance against Chesterfield. I think the point you made, Aaron, about the atmosphere and everything else, we're going to want to see against Chesterfield, one of the bigger clubs in the division, Latics having a good goal. If he plays the same formation he played against Aldershot and York as a starting, we've just found up top. I don't think that's going to set a very good tone from the beginning of the game, is it?
And I completely agree with what Paddy said before, which is unusual for us, isn't it, Pads? But you said about the only real big criticism that I have of Sheridan so far, and something that's really annoying me, is his lack of willingness to use the subs bench. And like on Saturday, for instance, like you had Vaughan on the bench, you had Luamba on the bench, you had, you had people that can come on and affect a game, and he seems to use subs as or just to kill sort of time. And like you said, giving Luamba, yes, he's not been great, and yes, he needs to improve his finishing, but giving Luamba 3 minutes is diabolical in my opinion. What's a kid supposed to do with 3 minutes on a football pitch? You know what I mean?
Bringing on Stobbs for me was just, I couldn't believe
absolutely.
it. And Threkel ended up playing right-sided midfield, didn't he? He put Stobbs on the left.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, for example, there, I think you go back to Southend. He said Harry Vaughan was the best player. Doesn't play him against Aldershot, and he brings him on with 10 minutes away. He was crying out for 20 minutes before. I didn't even consider him against York. And when you say someone goes on there, and I'm not having it that it's too physical for him. York's best player was number 7, who was about 5 foot as well.
I've got a question. Got a question for Dave there, actually, from a Chesterfield point of view. Harry Vaughan, by the way, is a young 18-year-old lad for us. Very, very, very low centre of gravity. Movement's really good. He's really good on the ball. He looks like a real live wire, potential game changer, but he's not played much. Junior Luamba is a big, pacey centre forward who scored a couple of crucial goals last season, but he's not been getting a run out. How have Chesterfield in the National League, managed their youth? Have you found that it been given them a chance a lot? Have you found that they've been sidelined?
Yeah, I mean, we had my Dave Allen in charge of the club, which he took us out of the league. It was a really bad owner. Everything went really sour. We were getting all the on-pitch protests and everything else. So the club was then taken over by the Community Trust, which is like the charitable arm of the club. So they took it over and it became kind of owned by the charitable side of the club. So we don't really have a youth team. We've kind of got this weird setup now we've got like hundreds of players in these different youth levels that like play around the county and stuff. But by the sounds of it, they are way, way off ever being anywhere near to kind of football level. But Cook has since he came in, he's really lowered the age of the squad. So we went out and got people like Brandon Horton, who's the left back, free from Doncaster, Armando Dobra, who's been amazing, who was a Albanian under-21. We got him free from Ipswich, and so he's kind of invested in a lot of youth players. We've even picked up, like, there's a young defender, Cook, who he signed from further down the non-league as well. So he has been picking up younger players, but yeah, we just have that first team squad and kind of using those really.
Because one of the things that the new board is very keen on is making sure that we have a very successful academy system and bringing young players through. Surely a really, really integral part of that is giving them first team football, because otherwise they don't, because part of the ambition, excuse me, the ambition is to bring these players through, put them in the shop window, sell some of them on, the build up enough of a squad with the rest of them. So they've got to be playing, haven't they? I think for me, it's vitally important that at least one or two of them get a game. We need money to invest, but Shez really, really seems reluctant. It doesn't seem to be that his vision maybe aligns with the board's vision insofar as getting talent out there. I wonder if that's an issue as well.
Going back to a few players that I spoke to a few youth players who were youth players under John Sheridan, and they said that he used to show absolutely zero interest in them. And actually, I won't name names, but John Sheridan's number 2 really treated a lot of those young players quite badly and was quite a bully towards a lot of the younger players.
Allegedly.
So I've spoken to a few players who have been youth players around Sheridan time, and they didn't get a great experience. It's fair to say.
Just like to point out that John Sheridan had previously agreed to come on this football phone-in.
Yeah,
he had previously agreed.
Keep you putting to yourself, Dave.
It's you lot. If he doesn't come on, it's you lot. It's your fault. He doesn't come on. But I think at the end of
matches, then.
Well, I'm sure he wants to. Martin's got a question for you, Paddy. Is there any Oldham manager in the last 20 years that you didn't want to sack?
Yes, John Sheridan in 2016 when he abandoned us to go to Notts County in League 2.
That ended well as well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, didn't it? Yeah.
Goodness me.
I think that tonight has actually brought up a lot of interesting points, to be honest with you.
Been a lot of therapy, hasn't there, today?
Well, I think at the end of the day, like, it's all about problem solving, isn't it? And there are problems that need solving, aren't there? I mean, like, Shez has got to win games. He's got to figure that out. The board have got to figure out how they want things. If they want youth players coming through, then they've got to get games. And you know what? Well, let's get him on and ask him some of these questions based on this. And he can, he's not a shy man. He's not scared to come on and say his own opinions and his own views. So I'm sure he won't mind. But we've got to try and help, at least give him a bit more of a chance in terms of the infrastructure at the club. Or there's got to be a sit-down meet. I mean, we don't know what goes on. What kind of conversations the board have with Sheridan and vice versa, do we? So I think, obviously...
if anyone wants for me to ask any questions after the game at Chesterfield, just contact at OAFC phoning after the game. Obviously, I'm not going to ask stupid questions. I'm going to ask considered, measured questions, but I am more than happy to ask the odd question. So if you keep it, clean and respectful, then I will ask the question. I'm not frightened of asking those questions because the club do allow me access, which we're really, really grateful for. And just keep the frustration down. I know it is hard, but we will ask the questions where we can.
Can I just ask you guys, just completely off topic, because I still can't believe it, and if we pull it off, I think it'll be mental. But if the rumours last week about McCallum and Archery, what are you like? Number one, why is he dropping so low? And number two, where do you think that would put us in terms of where we how big do you think he would be?
It'd be a great signing, wouldn't it? I can't see it coming off. I can't see him dropping from a Premier League club to the National League. I think he'd much rather be playing in the EFL, unless
there's talk, isn't it, that apparently shortly after the window, him and a couple of other Leeds under 23s, I believe, due the release, I think.
Yeah, is it Jenkins as well, the striker?
He's gone Salford in.
Has he?
Yeah, like I said, someone told me McCallum on he was only there as a guest. His girlfriend lives in the area, something like that. And that's what he was doing there. And he did play for Leeds, didn't he, on Monday?
No,
Yeah.
Brad, he was at Boundary Park, so he has to be signing
I've heard things to the contrary.
a 5-year contract, obviously.
I hope he signs. I hope he signs.
The talk of the fans bar after the game by people who should know were that he's approached Latics because he wants to come back here, and that's why his agent was with him. And that was in the fans bar by people that should know what's going on.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what there's always rumours abounding that your mate Martin Fearon's been biting all night in the comments, Brad. So let's put him on here. It says he could have phoned up, by the way, if he wanted to talk to you.
Martin,
but clearly, he's got 5 minutes to click on the link. So he made
my first Twitter blocking. Him and he's blocked on my Twitter now, Martin, and so's the other one, Phil, as well, blocked. Are we
going to allow Bradley the opportunity to accept his naive, not condescending in any way at all there, Martin, accept his naive actions on Monday and put it to bed? Do you want to respond to that?
I strongly think where I spoke on Monday, I still 100% believe I am fine with what I put out. And it's there, and it's there. And I'm not bothered. I've called for Sheridan to resign. Well, I didn't actually call for it, but I think he's got the right person to take us forward. I made a comment about, obviously, the board not being behind him, because there was a few rumours, or 3 rumours, which somebody came up to me, 3 different people said that Duncan Ferguson had been approached, and then it was found on Owen the Blues, someone's put it on there that it was David Unsworth, so maybe Everton connections with Royal. But yeah, I strongly stand by his opinion there.
Those people as well, isn't it?
Imagine big Duncan Ferguson at Latics.
Well, I heard there was somebody came up to me at York and told me that there's whispers, and personally, I don't know how I feel about it, about Darren Ferguson.
How many whispers, how many rumours have we heard that have ever come true? Like, I mean, this is what everyone gets it's pure speculation. The majority of the time, none of these things actually come off, do they? So, for me, it's better off just waiting until it actually happens.
Yeah.
So Martin's asking how he gets. So maybe you should come on next week, Martin, because we're running out of time now.
So yeah. Like I said there, Matt, I do stand by everything. Everything said was fine. Like I said, people were saying to me, "Oh, you can't discuss rumours." I'm a fan at the end of the day. I've discussed like signings and stuff like I said, McCallum went there, we're discussing that. Matt, you're there. We've not spoke. We've had meetings with Frank and Darren, but we never discussed the players or Sheridan, have we?
Oh no. Sorry, Dave. Me and Bradley are on the Supporters Trust board, and Brad's comments about Sheridan have caused a few fans to get a little bit, twitchy about him expressing his opinion, blah blah blah, and he speaks for the board and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, we don't talk. We've not had any kind of conversations like that. We've the conversations we've had have been very general, haven't they? About fans and fan experiences and stuff like that. So, but we are coming to the end of the show, lads.
I've just sent Martin the link. So Martin, if you can get on, and let's have it.
We've only got 2 minutes left. It's not going to happen in 2 minutes, is it? Let's before that anyway. Let's see. Let's do some predictions for Saturday. It's going to be the big game in the division. I think the biggest crowd. I'm sure Chesterfield will bring more than 800. You talk about 1,800 to Notts County, didn't you? So 1,400 at the weekend. So I reckon it'll be about 1,500 you'll bring easily, won't it? Yeah. What you as the guest? First of all, thank you very much for coming on. It's been very, very interesting having you on, especially your experiences with our current manager. How do you think we'll get on, or you'll get on, or the result on Saturday?
I think if we can come out of the traps early and score early, then it obviously sounds like it could be a bit of a sour atmosphere. So if that happens, I'll go for a 2-0 win to Chesterfield.
2-0. Aaron, what do you reckon, mate?
For as much as my head is probably wanting to tell me to, I can never back against Oldham, so I'm going to go 2-1 Oldham.
Paddy?
It's a whole win in the Vauxhall Conference.
What score?
2-0.
Brad?
Is Dobra and Asante injured?
Asante is out. It sounds like Dobra maybe as well. I think he's got a bit of a sprained ankle, but plenty of options to bring in.
Is Shamanga leaving?
No, Shimanga. I'd imagine Shimanga will stay. Someone will have to pay over $1 million probably to get Shimanga, so I think that's probably unlikely.
If Shimanga stays, it's Shimanga hat-trick 3-0.
Ooh.
Matt?
Well, I definitely don't think that we'll keep a clean sheet against Chesterfield. I think they'll score. We've not scored many goals, have we? We only scored. Well, we scored
7,
a few points. Yeah, so we're not high scoring. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think that would be decent enough result for us. I think against Chesterfield, I'd like to win, but I'm going to go for 1-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 Fonda Patrick.
Also, that's why you don't do predictions normally.
Exactly, but I'm giving it some this week. He'll want to get one over on Chesterfield.
Maybe 1, not 3, mate.
He'll get 3.
Listen, lads, really appreciate you all coming on. Brad, thanks for coming on and clearing all that up. Maybe Martin will join us next time. You can have a chat with him because this is not over. The season will roll on, and we'll see what happens with the Latics. Thanks again. Give your podcast another quick plug there.
Yep, so I'm Legends of the Spire. You can find me on @SpireLegends on Twitter.
Lovely. Thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll speak to you again ahead of the reverse fixture, whenever that is, next year sometime.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
And thanks a lot, lads, for joining us, and we'll see you all next week.
Take care, lads.
Cheers, lads. Bye.
The Boundary Pack Alert System. This is a test. The Boundary Pack Alert System is hosted and produced by Matt Dean and Andy Halliwell for Q-Pod Productions. Visit oafcpodcast.co.uk for loads more info, including how to support us for just $2.99 per month, how to sponsor the show to raise money for the 1895 fund, and to read Arlene's brilliant weekly blog. Please follow and interact with us on social media @OAFC Podcast, and you can help change the game by listening to us on the Fan Hub app along with all major podcast platforms. Please like, subscribe and review the pod to help us climb the rankings and get more listeners. Pushtheboundary.co.uk and oasf.co.uk are where you'll find out all about our official supporters groups, getting involved and continuing to raise money for the 1895 fund. Don't miss the Latics football phone-in with myself and Dave Bradley every Wednesday from 8:30 till 9:30 at youtube.com/The Boundary Park Alert System. Follow us on socials @OAFC Phone-In. You can also catch us on the brand new Greatest Manchester Football Podcast live every Thursday night from 8 till 9 on the Greatest Manchester Football Podcast YouTube channel. Follow @GMFootPod for all the details. The title music for the show is by DJ and producer Starion with an R, and for more information visit bandcamp.com/Red Laser Records.